Welcome, friends. Let us together rebuild this world so that we may live, laugh, and lore.
I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
Not listening. I'm not listening.
Oh, that took.
Program loaded and ready.
Make it so.
Welcome to the Live, Laugh, Lore podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Tony.
And I'm Mark. So now we're going to talk about Saga 2 in this episode. And that's what they call the multiverse saga.
Oh, okay.
Instead of the Infinity War saga. Because they're going to explore the different multiverses and how we get there.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting because I haven't seen a lot of these episodes. Or when I say episodes, I haven't seen a lot of the TV shows.
Yeah.
I have seen some of them, but also I was looking at the movie list and I'm a little lost here. So I'm very excited to get this information. I hopefully, definitely learn a lot at the end of this. So
Yep.
Be great.
So now what they're in phases 4 through 6, and we're halfway through phase 5 right now. So in phase 4, they kicked it to a whole new level where they started adding TV shows. So they had the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they had Agent Carter, they had a couple other things, but really, up until this point, Marvel was really good at movies, and DC was really good at TV shows.
Yep.
Marvel didn't even try, but Disney got involved, and now their TV shows are actually pretty decent. And it started off with WandaVision.
Yep.
And WandaVision was
That
really
was really
cool.
good. I actually watched that one.
So for the users, it's Wanda, who is Scarlet Witch, is dealing with the loss of Vision. So she takes this whole town hostage and creates her own little world of how she wanted her life to be with Vision. But it starts off in like the first episode, like a 1950s sitcom, and then a 1960s the next episode.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see it go through. And so like the early ones, like the 40s and 50s, so Dick Van Dyke is still alive. And he had a Dick Van Dyke show, and they actually brought him on as a consultant to like make sure that the first episode was a lot like his show. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so Dick Van Dyke's like 98, and he's probably like one of the oldest Disney stars still alive, if not the oldest.
Yeah.
Because he was in Mary Poppins.
I thought it was super cool too when you see, I can't remember if it was in between I can't remember if it was the second episode or third episode, where basically like now color TV is a thing. So they take the whole set, which right now you've only seen black and white.
Right.
And they change it and you're like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know. Sometimes when you see black and white shows on TV once in a while, it's hard to think back and be like, no, like there's color.
Yeah.
Like, in the world, there's actually color. So and it really tricked my brain a little bit to see the difference between the two.
Yep.
I thought that was cool.
No, absolutely. So
And that 70s show. Parents were on that. Yeah,
Yep,
I like
yep.
that.
Yeah, so WandaVision was really great. They bring in some side characters for bigger roles, and, it just really kicks off their TV franchise. So after that, they did a couple other TV shows in Phase 4. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki. They did a What If TV show, which took
Inspired us to do ours, or What If?
Yeah, exactly. So that one's really cool. That one's animated, and they just take What If. Like the first episode, I think, is What If Agent Carter took the serum instead of Steve Rogers.
Gotcha.
And she became the first super soldier.
Yep.
And it's just stuff like that. So it's kind of a fun show, which they actually later on take some of those scenarios and we see a live action multiverse with those, which is cool.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Then they have Hawkeye TV show, like we talked about earlier, Moon Knight, Ms. Marvel, and She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. So those were all the TV shows.
Yep.
A lot of them only had one season. Loki and What If had two, but the second seasons were in Phase 5, which we'll get to. As far as movies go, Black Widow got her standalone. That one is set in the past, though. Takes place right after, I believe, Civil War. Yep, right after Civil War. And it's not an origin story. It's kind of they touch on her origin story.
Yeah.
But it's really a follow-up to an old nemesis that she needs to take out.
Cool.
Then we have Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And we get to see who we thought was the leader of the Ten Rings, but it's the guy who plays the Mandarin in Iron Man 2, or is it 3? It's Iron Man 3. Who's
It's got to be
Mandarin.
3, yeah, because the other one was the Russian guy.
Yep.
2, where they make the anonymous
Ripcord,
bots.
I think is his name. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's the third one. But in the movie, it's an actor. It's like Ben Kingsley is the actor, but his character is an actor playing the role of the Mandarin, and he's actually just kind of this like funny guy.
Yeah.
And so we see him. They capture him because they think he's the Mandarin, Like the real Mandarin catches it's actually really funny. Then you have Eternals, which that one people didn't really like, but essentially it's a group of eternal beings that are heroes and they have to, save the world. Spider-Man No Way Home, that's the last one in the franchise for Spider-Man so far for the Tom Holland. Then you have Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. That's that next one. Thor: Love and Thunder, so that's the only one that's got a 4th installment. I'll let everyone make their own judgment on that, but I'm not necessarily convinced it was needed.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was fine, but I mean, it was not as good as the previous
Because I think at some
Thors.
point I think they're just trying to eke out as much as they can.
Correct. But we get to see Jane Foster back because she was not in Thor 3.
Yeah.
Natalie Portman, but she is back in this movie.
Cool.
And then the last one for Phase 4 was the second Black Panther movie. So in this one, Black Panther's younger sister becomes the new Black Panther, or at least it's centered around her because the actor died.
Yep.
So they had to continue on with that story. So Phase 5, which is we're halfway through that now. They've had a couple TV shows. Secret Invasion, which started off slow, but actually it's kind of good. So it's about Nick Fury and his dealings with the Skrull people. So there's some good Skrulls, and we find out there's some not so good Skrulls.
Yep.
And in the comics, the Skrulls are bad guys. So I mean,
Big time.
this is what
even
they're...
in the Doctor Strange comics I read.
Right.
They get to that point.
Right. So, and because in Captain Marvel, they painted the Skrulls as the good guys, and there are some good Skrulls. But now we're seeing like war.
Well, I mean,
hungry.
their general population anybody and everybody could manipulate their body and change them and be like they're the ultimate.
Correct, and that's the whole point is that we don't know who's Skrulls and who's not.
Yeah.
Because they can change their skin changers.
Once again, Deep Space Nine, man, all comes back to Star Trek. Because they did the Changeling. Remember that? I was telling you about the whole Dominion War? That was the whole shtick, and why it was so psychological for everybody was they could be anybody. Like, how do you do this, right? Do you do blood screenings? Do you this? It's cool to see. It's a cool problem.
Right. So then they have Loki Season 2, What If Season 2, Echo, which is one I haven't seen. And then as far as movies, you got Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. That one was pretty good. That's the third Ant-Man installment.
Okay.
They all go into the quantum realm and like find village. It's really cool. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That one is really good. That one deep dives into Rocket Raccoon's origin story, and it's quite sad.
It was good,
but it's a good one. Then you have the Marvels, which sets up. It's pretty much Captain Marvel too. But there was a TV show, Ms. Marvel, and then in WandaVision there was another Marvel character, and so this is a movie with all three, and so that's where we are. We're up to date and that one takes place in 2026.
Gotcha.
So coming down the pipeline, we've got Deadpool and Wolverine, Captain America 4, and that's going to have Falcon as Captain America, and the Thunderbolts, and that will wrap up Phase 5. Phase 6, we're going to have a Vision TV show, the Fantastic Four, supposedly, a Blade movie, a 5th Avengers movie, and then a 6th Avengers movie.
Blade,
that's all set for 26 through 27. That brings us up. That was kind of a high level. I would love to, I could deep dive into all these movies and TV shows individually, but I just kind of wanted to give you an overall framework of kind of where Marvel was, Marvel is. Phase 1, 2, and 3 were really, really good. I think they're kind of finding themselves in the multiverse. Like I said, they can do whatever they want because they've been into different,
Yeah.
Like now they can introduce X-Men. They can introduce...
Which is the funny thing is there's already a slew of movies with the Fantastic Four, but I don't know what company owns that. It might be Universal still. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
The whole point is that, but they haven't even touched Fantastic Four, which it does seem like it's in the pipeline, but that's an interesting thing of, what the heck's going on? That's like a whole subset.
Right.
Because also the Human Torch was Captain America. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Chris Evans,
yeah.
Yeah, he was the Human Torch for that series, so it's kind of funny that they're both in the MCU technically, so...
Exactly.
What do you do?
We'll see. And then the bad guy in Black Panther also played the Human Torch in a different Fantastic Four movie. So,
they did reboot. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You're
so
right.
there's
That's one of those
several.
fantastic. Yeah.
So what I want to hit there is in Phase 4, I mentioned Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. In those two movies, they really show us how they jump through these different multiverses.
Oh, yeah.
And those two movies really open the door to this saga and how they could introduce these creatures, these new creatures, these repeat people into the MCU world that we know. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm really curious to see where it goes, especially with all of Marvel. I think it's kind of interesting you're saying they're trying to find themselves, but a lot of things suffer from this. When you get such a big IP and you do so much, eventually you just kind of get people exhausted.
Yeah.
or everything just kind of feels rinse and repeat. You know, superhero movies kind of have this very algorithmic flow to them that after a couple of them, you're kind of like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's about 15 minutes of really cool, deep lore stuff. The rest of it's just exploding ships and fight scenes. And so I think
that's Hollywood.
Yeah. Oh, no. Big time. I'm not saying this is a Marvel character. This is kind of bleeding into our last episode of the pet peeves.
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to make it that way. What I'm trying to say is, like, it's really interesting because I like, just right off the bat, WandaVision was, like, I don't want to say, like, revolutionary. That's maybe too strong of a term, but it was really cool to see. Like, they clearly have some great ideas and up this pipeline. So I'm really curious to see where they go with it. I really hope they don't go more that algorithmic, pleases all, pleases none, you know, kind of deal. I really hope they can kind of keep to that.
Absolutely.
That new
stuff. And I will say their TV shows have still been up to snuff, I think, in these last couple phases. Some of the movies have just been, I think, a little underwhelming. So maybe they just had too much built up around them.
And I think another thing, too, and maybe this is, sorry for cutting you off, but I think the big thing was, it's a weird problem, but problem nonetheless, is when your budgets get so big, or the expectation around the IP gets so much.
Yeah.
I think you're just almost in a no-win scenario. Star Wars is getting close to this, and once again, I don't want to go back down to the rabbit hole or the pet peeve hole. But my point is I think they're struggling with that problem, where they have to make these huge blockbusters. I mean, Endgame grossed how many millions? You know what I mean? So it's like, I think they're all trying to get these really big pieces of the pie, where in reality, it's like, I don't know, that might have been not like a one-hit wonder, but there's so much build-up for that movie. You can't expect these other side movies to get such a big hit. So you kind of have to weigh everything out. So I think that's the other thing, too, as fans, we got to be really careful about, you know, the emotions that we felt at Endgame. Kind of hard to replicate. I think they did a good job with No Way Home. I mean, seeing all, I'm not going to spoil it, but seeing all
everything.
the craziness, you know what I mean? It's like, so I really hope they can kind of keep up with it. That'd be really cool.
Yep. All right, so that was Saga 2, the Multiverse Saga. I know that was kind of a lot of information, and it's not done yet, but does that all kind of make sense, Tony?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's really interesting because, like I kind of mentioned before, I kind of dropped out, didn't see a lot of the movies, didn't see a lot of the shows, but what I will say is the Doctor Strange Madness of the Multiverse, I think that's what the thing was,
Multiverse of Madness?
Multiverse of Madness. That's close. But Multiverse of Madness, hey, this is Multiverse. I'm right either way. Yep. But that movie was so good. I'm already a Doctor Strange fan.
Yeah.
But seeing the mechanics and going like, because already Doctor Strange movies kind of have this weird like, okay, where am I? What am I doing? Because they bend reality so much, you know, with the magic and everything. So seeing the multiverse bending get into that too, it was so good.
Yeah.
And the fact that like this is kind of one of those hallmarks of like, hey, this is the multiverse, this is us. It's super cool to see. So yeah, I learned a lot. So I totally appreciate your time on that. And I think we have another mini game coming up, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So kind of like last time we built our 5-man hero, we're going to build our 5-man villain from the MCU.
I'm so excited.
So
a lot of PhDs coming your way.
Absolutely. So go ahead. You can kick us off there, Tony.
So Mark, you asked me about villains, right?
Yep.
So glad we're doing this. Heroes was a lot of fun, but man, villains, I had a time with this one.
Oh yeah.
And it was
I've got a couple
really
honorable
hard.
mentions. Yeah.
Okay, good. And you know, I was thinking about some honorable mentions, but the list kind of was getting a little big. But for the most part, and also it's really kind of funny, I forgot to mention this during our hero episode, but if you start looking up Marvel characters and you ask like if they're a villain or if they're a hero, that's sometimes a very loaded question.
Yeah.
Like even Google kind of, you know, depending on what. So I was going on these Reddit threads and going, well, I mean, they're kind of good, kind of bad.
Yeah.
So some of my honorable mentions are a little bit more of a mixed, like the Silver Surfer and Scarlet Witch that I mentioned in the previous episode.
Yep.
They're kind of like this weird mix. But so my first just overall villain, these are deep dive villains. First overall villains, once again, comic book expert, gotta go, you know. I say that loosely.
Yeah, exactly.
But I had to go some crazy ones. So, Dormammu.
I've come to bargain.
I've come to bargain. Oh my gosh, that was wild.
Doctor Strange, yeah.
Yeah, that was real wild. The fact that they kept showing it, and that was like the first time I was like, dude, you might get a rated R close to it. You know what I mean? I don't think Doctor Strange wasn't rated R. I don't think any of them are rated R.
Nope.
But Doctor Strange, like that was because they're just repeatable and everything like that. But sorry, outside the point, Dormammu. It was really funny because right when I was looking up like the abilities of Dormammu, just to kind of summarize it, one of the Reddit commenters was like, it would be easier to say what he can't do. That list would be shorter than saying what he can do. But you see it at Doctor Strange. You know what I mean? At the end of Doctor Strange. Spoiler alert, sorry. But this is in Saga 1. Phase 1? Phase 2? We were in Doctor Strange Captains?
Phase
2. Yeah. So, that's old news, right?
Yeah.
But Dormammu, so he can do, teleportation. He's just this larger-than-life being, complete control of the dark forces that, all these magicians are trying so hard to keep at bay. Life force absorption, you have dimensional portal creation, list goes on and on. So, honestly, the fact that Doctor Strange thought of, like, the one loophole to keep him at bay is pretty amazing. Because it seems like he's pretty invulnerable, other than time itself.
Yeah.
And he can even control time, which is really funny. Like, that's part of the comics why some people are kind of mad. They're like, dude, he can control time. The time stones. But apparently, the time stone, the way the MCU judges it, the time stone trumps his ability.
Yeah.
Which, once again, I really find it funny that whenever you do any of these, you think any lore is some diehard fans. Dude, go to the Marvel comic book nerds. It's unreal. It is really unreal. Like, this was a full-on Reddit thread. I was, like, 30, 40 comments deep.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing people going back and forth.
They're a different breed. I mean, there's plenty of Easter eggs that I didn't even know. I didn't even realize because I didn't read the comics.
Yeah.
They are riddled throughout both sagas with the amount of Easter eggs that are in those movies. So
yeah. We complain about, like, Star Wars. Can you imagine someone who's, like, been an OG comic book? It's like, oh, my goodness. So, and Star Wars is a lot of IP, too, but Marvel is at a whole different level with the comic books. So, to get back on my list, so we have Dormammu. Second one is the Grandmaster. I really like him because he's basically like a Joker type. And I think the best way to describe him and what online people describe him as is like, I'm just a dog chasing a car.
Yeah.
I won't even know if I catch it. And so his thing is like, he just has this crazy high level of cosmic power. It's such at a high level that he's like, how do I entertain myself? Well, I'll just bring this hero, this villain, this hero, and just does a grab bag. And he transports them into basically these crazy games of whether they're life and death of, battle to the death, or they're just like games of chance. Just whatever, whatever whimsical, whatever kind of tickles his fancy that day. So I thought that was really kind of funny, and he has a lot more to his backstory. And right when you get to this level, they're talking about the goddess of death and the eternal, and there's so much going on. But it's just funny because he stays out of it, and he's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna have fun with it, whatever.
Yeah.
So I really liked him as a character. I thought he was kind of a funny, chaotic villain.
Absolutely.
Third on my list is the Destroyer. So one thing, I was kind of thinking back, I had Thor on my list. I was like, man, who's some pretty good adversaries of Thor? They're just kind of interesting. And Destroyer just kind of came up because I thought it was just super cool. The fact that he was created by Odin. Mm-hmm. And the whole purpose was to defend against, the dark ancient forces across the 9 realms. And his own brother called him, like, sicked him on him. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Loki was like, no, Thor is a villain. Go get him. Mm-hmm. And the fact that, like, the... what's the word I'm looking for? The metal made out of this destroyer's armor was stronger than the metal that was made into Thor's hammer. The Uru?
Yeah.
You are, wow. But I thought that was really cool. The fact that, like, Odin made an autonomous being with material that is stronger than his son's strongest weapon.
Just in case, baby.
In case. I thought that was, like... I've never felt more like, like the kind like, oh my gosh, like AI is going to take my job. Like, can you imagine how Thor felt? He's like, dude, really?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, they don't have his heart and his strength, blah, blah, but I just thought it was funny that his own dad made his, effectively a villain that could destroy his son.
Right.
Know? But of course, that wasn't originally the thought process. Next one is Ebony Maw. So, early in the episode. Squidward, yeah. Because I just love the fact that I think it was Infinity Wars, might have been Endgame, but the whole point is he goes out and he's like, rejoice. My master has chosen your planet. And he's
Infinity War.
Yeah. Is that Infinity War? Yeah, he was just, I love how he just regarded Thanos. I love the fact that he has a crazy backstory, just like Gamora. Mm-hmm. So he's exactly like Gamora. Like, basically, Thanos came to his world, zapped half the people, and he was like, yeah, I'll take you. You know what I mean? And raised him up.
Right.
And I thought that was really cool. And the fact that he was the only one of Thanos' children that has never failed him. That's why he was regarded as, like, the strongest. And his telekinetic abilities was unmatched.
Yeah.
Like, more than Professor X.
Yeah,
crazy, right? So I thought that was really cool. Ebony Maw, he was really cool. And the last one I have is Mephisto. So basically, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry if I'm not. But the whole point is he's an extra-dimensional demon. And just the art for this guy is what really drew me in, because he's almost like Doctor Strange vampire robe. You know, like the tall collar and just red and black and just, looks super cool. And the fact that he has this crazy ability of like necromancy, astral projection, chameleon, cosmic awareness, just like what I mentioned before, Silver Surfer, right? It's kind of like this almost omnipotence. And then you also have like swordsmanship. He just has a ton. So he's basically like a very overpowered demon vampire going out in the world. I thought that was just a super, super, super cool way of going about it. And of course, like honorable mention, of course I want to put Thanos on there. Thanos was a really cool villain. I really liked him, but I also felt like he was a little too mainstream to put in my actual list.
Yeah.
But he really did. I mean, hey, he enacted all the stuff he was going to say he was doing. Yeah, that rounds me out.
Yeah, that's a really good list. It's funny. So in the multiverse saga, the big bad is Kang the Conqueror, but before we knew that, Mephisto was on the short list of people guessing on who it would be.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Okay, so okay, yeah. I just saw him, and like I was, like I said, looking up forums, going like, "Who's some crazy villains?" And everyone's saying Mephisto. I was like, "Oh, dude, let's check him out."
So on that note too, are you good with your?
Oh yeah, I got my 5 in.
So Galacticus is one that I had on my list, and he was another one on that short list. So Galacticus is kind of like the destroyer of worlds. He's this giant being that like eats planets.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like
Dormammu crazy?
Yeah, essentially.
Even crazier?
But I mean, he's got like cosmic powers too, and he just,
Gotcha.
Big bad guy that, like I said, with Mephisto and Kang, they were the short list of potential bad guys for the second phase, or second saga. So Galacticus was good. I have my boy Magneto.
Really? Sir Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen, Gandalf, also Magneto.
Mm-hmm. Another Lord of the Rings.
Oh, heck yeah. I just always liked him. I don't know, maybe not. I get where he's coming from. His mission is, humans have put mutants down, so now he is trying to fight back. I don't necessarily, I get where he's coming from, but he's doing it in the wrong way. I just like him.
His origin story, though?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't remember what the actor's name is, but you know what I'm talking about, like where they're younger selves?
Yes.
Oh, you can see where it comes from, though.
Correct.
I don't want to spoil anything, but you can see where why he's feeling this way.
Yeah, but the fact he can control metal, there's metal in almost everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
So his utility is beyond crazy, I think.
I love the Reddit.
And he can fly.
Yeah, I love the Reddit post where it's like, since you control metal, like blood bending's a part of this. Like, there's iron in your blood.
Yeah,
right. I thought that was. There's always some little things, and of course, like when they show in like the movies, they have the plastic guns shooting, but there's still bullets. Or they have plastic bullets. I don't know what the bullets are, but it's really cool to see the governing bodies that may, with the humans, like try to thwart him with like non-metal, but it's super difficult. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, yeah, Magneto for sure. Next one on my list was Hela, the goddess of death. Ooh. Like I mentioned before, Odin's firstborn.
Yep.
They conquered worlds together. Mm-hmm. She also rides a giant wolf named Fenris.
Ooh.
Fenris.
We don't see him in the movie, do we?
Yeah, you do.
You do?
He gets resurrected, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But she's just so cool. She's got her hair turns into night. Like, she's just she's powerful, too.
Yeah.
She destroyed, she captured Mjolnir and crushed it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The pure strength there, right, is insane.
Where was the destroyer? Could she destroy that metal? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be the next level, the next test. You know what I mean?
Next stress test. Yeah.
So Hela,
she's super cool, and she's like a master strategist, dude. She's just like Shikamaru, man.
Yeah,
bring it all back. Yeah,
heck yeah. That's
controls
what I'm
the
talking about.
shadows a little bit too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel you.
Next one I have is Ego, and that's in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I just like Kurt
his
Russell.
dad.
Yeah, I just like Kurt Russell. But basically, he's a living planet.
Yeah.
And he...
Oh, that's where you get Mantis, too.
You get Mantis, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's a celestial being. That's where Peter Quill gets his celestial powers, right? Mm-hmm. But he... I think I chose him mainly because I like Kurt Russell. But, he's kind of cool. He's just this living planet, so...
Which is pretty wild to think about. Yeah. That's awesome.
Then the last one on my list that made the list... I've always liked Doc Ock.
Really?
I don't know. I've just made because I love the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans.
Oh, yeah.
He just, he's just always looked so cool to me with the tentacles and the stuff,
Do you remember there was a kid's toy you can get one of those arms. Like, it was like a grabber. No, like those, like, you'll see, like, people don't want to bend down.
Yeah.
All the grabbers that pick up things. But they had a Doc Ock version of that was, like, kind of flexible. I just remember that's a really deep childhood memory because there's that and Hulk hands. Those are, like, the two
things, yeah.
Two things I remember growing up with. Oh, and the web shooters.
Yeah.
You know, those are classic. But those are, like, the 3 big toys I remember out of this. But, Doc Ock was crazy.
Heck yeah.
I love that arm.
It's I
I mean, the scene when they stab him in the back. Ugh.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
He's just, I mean, he's not the most powerful villain, but I've always just thought
He's
he
got
was
the
really
brains,
cool.
man.
He just got the brains.
I think he's got the brains.
When he's not controlled by the...
Yeah, the chip.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. AI's really not, it's not looking good. Vision's the only solid one. Jarvis is the only solid one.
Correct.
Well, actually,
chip.
Jarvis, because isn't Ultron a form of Jarvis too? Or no, that wasn't Jarvis. Ultron was something completely different.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Never mind. Sorry, but I know he's an AI. So
Correct.
That was my point.
Yes. Yeah. So that was my list. I had one honorable mention, Doctor Doom.
Classic.
He's cool. I mean, fought against the Fantastic Four. I mean, he's just got insane power too. He was also on the short list. He was top 5 for potential of being the big bad for this next saga.
I think it'd be too tough because you haven't done any Fantastic Four in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of a stretch because, like, the only thing is, like, that's the MCU
Yeah.
or not MCU. That's the Fantastic Four's
Like main
dude. So it's kind of weird bringing a main dude of an IP that you haven't really. I want to say IP, but subset
main
of IPs.
villain. Yeah, main villain. The Joker. It's the Batman Joker.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four. Dr.
For a second,
Doom.
I was like, dude, Joker's in this? I was like, no, he's
No,
DC.
no.
That'd be wild.
But that was So, but I think that was my list. Anything else to add there, Tony?
No, not really. It's kind of funny because with the villains, originally I was kind of doing the same thing on the episode before, thinking about, hey, how would my heroes round out? Mm-hmm. But like Dormammu, every single one of these, like individually, I was like, dude, they're their own team.
Yeah.
Like there's no rounding out.
Yeah.
Like,
but they all get defeated,
it's already around.
but
It's
fine.
like, yeah, I'm taking the aluminum. Well, I mean, that's just literary armor, right?
Yeah,
You know, what they call it, story armor. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But no, it's kind of like taking the tinfoil ball and just keep polishing it out because I'm like, dude, even one of these guys is pretty solid. So the fact that all these guys, if they all attacked at once, it would be wild to see. Especially your side too. I feel like you have some really crazy powerful ones.
Oh yeah, definitely. So
all needed very unique solutions in beating him. And,
yeah, right.
Yeah,
you can't. Yeah,
especially the goddess of war. What's her name again?
Hela.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Trap her in Asgard, man.
Absolutely, right?
Only thing you can do. But yeah, no. That's my list. I'm good to go.
Awesome. Well, as always, thanks for listening, everyone. Please reach out with questions, mix-up, and what-if ideas.
Absolutely. If you want to reach out, please go on Instagram or X Twitter at LiveLaughLorePod, or you can also email us at the livelaughLorePod@gmail.com. That's livelaughLorePod@gmail.com.
Thanks, guys.